ground where the ancient music is playing. She begins to sing as the rain falls down, like 1,000 voices would pray. And then the clouds have all gone, and her light shines on in her original spirit. And I need to know that I'm a part of that original spirit. I need to know it, where my aim is true, and I ride that royal road. Yes, I know the truth. I know it when I hear it in its original spirit. So take me down south where the river's age goes back to the original spirit, and the India ink is flowing over the page, down to the original spirit, and the rhythm of life is still young.
And that's about as good of a start as I could possibly imagine. The beautiful song, Original Spirit, by Mr. Bob Livingston. I am Jeff Plankenhorn, and we're doing a show right now called 20 Question Tuesdays. Here, wait, I got this awesome little graphic. There's another one right there that I like so much that Jana Pocop made for me. I got to use them if I have them. We are on Austin Music Television right now. In Austin, that's cable channel 1699 if you're on ATT-Uverse. Also, always want to thank AustinCityJams.com for having us. Thanks, Kirby and everybody over there. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. And usually we're on Twitter, but Twitter is not working for some reason today. I don't know. Maybe I messed something up. First time I've ever had a problem being on Twitter. What are we going to do? Tweet elsewhere. Tweet politics. Tweet funny cat videos. Do whatever makes you happy. For those who don't know, I'm Jeff Plankenhorn, and what happened was early on in the pandemic, on a Tuesday afternoon one day, I just turned my camera on and I started asking questions. And I started getting questions like I just ran it like a workshop. I'm a professional musician, singer-songwriter, as they say, and play with lots of folks and do all sorts of things. And I would get questions from non-musicians and musicians alike, and people who play music for a living, and people who, just do it for fun. And I was just struck by how many people showed up and started asking me questions. Well, shortly after I started doing it every week, Sheila Steele at Austin Music TV said, "Hey, would you like to put this on our cable channel, Austin Music TV?" I said, "That's great." I got myself this fancy app so I could stream to multiple places all over the interwebs and take your questions. But then I saw this little button right down at the bottom of the screen, and it said, "Invite guests." And I thought, well, that would be infinitely more interesting. So I started inviting guests. And I think my first guest was Michael O'Connor. And then I had Jamie Harris. And then I had Bill Kirchen. And then I had Ruthie Foster. And all these people wanted to do this show. And it has been a labor of love ever since. I've been doing it since, I don't know, May or something like that. And I can't thank you guys enough. I really love your questions. You'd think of things I never would. And I have a lot of fun. We take tips on this show, and I split them with my guests. There's that right there. That way, if you want, this way after the show, I can get my guest, a meal for them and their family, or a big tank of gas or something like that. And we, of course, appreciate that. 2 quick housekeeping things. This weekend, there will be a Resentment show on Sunday. And, of course, you can find that at any of the Resentments pages. That's always really good. Those are called Together Alone. And you may know the song that I wrote with Miles Zuniga for that. And I also want to thank everybody so much who came out for the Polar Vortex Relief Concert on Sunday. We raised literally over $10,000 in just a few hours for the Central Texas Food Bank. I was stunned. I was amazed. It was beautiful, and I can't thank you enough. We had so many great artists, and we're going to do that again at the end of the month because we had such a success with it for the Sims Foundation. And then lastly, 2 things about me. I have a new single, Wait, which is coming out this weekend. Let's see, it's coming out on Friday. Just check on my stuff, you'll find it. And of course, I have my show tonight, From Here to There. Jody, new viewer, I will do questions to me and requests and stuff like that there. But right now, without further ado, as they say, I cannot wait. I have never had a guest where I had so many questions come in before the show. And it's pretty cool because I have no idea how we're going to get to all of them. But ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Livingston. Hey, Bob.
Hey, great to see you, Jeff.
I got to take that graphic off. I'm not going to leave that. I can leave the other. I'll leave the other one up because it's on my head. It's always there. See, like I can just kind of go like this, play with the magic ball or something. Hey, man, thanks for doing this.
You're a professional at this.
No.
I'm glad to be in your inner sanctum. Like I'm coming in, and you look like. I mean, you've got the look. You've got the look, the way you look, and your setup, and you look like a lot. I mean, you could be, you could be doing a lot with this rather than just 20 questions, man. You could be having, you could, yeah, I know. You look great. It's just great to be here.
Thanks, man. And I can't tell you. I really, really, honestly, you have the most questions. I want to dive right in because that's what this show is kind of fun about. And I just I remember, certain people I get on here and they don't get to do their, our buddy Ray Wiley, he didn't get to do any of his stock stories because we got all these great questions from left field. And so it's going to be the same thing, hopefully, for you today. So I got like 3.5 pages of questions for you. So I'm going to go for one. Let's see.
Yes, no, yes.
Let's start with Greg Schultz. Greg Schultz thought this show was going to happen a little while ago, and so I know he's here already, so I'm going to start with Greg. Greg says, Bob Livingston, when you met Michael Martin Murphey in California, he asked you to go back to Texas with him and play bass. You said, I don't know how to play bass, and he said something like, you can learn. So Greg wants to know, how long did it actually take for you to learn and be comfortable playing the bass? Oh, and whatever happened to that Martin guitar that you received from, I think, Capitol Records?
Well, I can just
Is any
say
of that
that
true, first of all? Is
there's
any of that true?
some of it's true, and there is a prequel to the story in that. Well, let's see, what was the first part
First
about
part
the
was
bass?
bass. Yeah, Michael Martin
So
Murphy in the bass.
the summer before, I had played some bass in a band of my brothers called the Rhythm Masters, and we played in Plainview, Texas. We played a summer at this funky lounge in Plainview, and we had Nehru jackets and everything. And my brother kind of taught me, okay, well, this is, and I saw kind of what sort of bass was about. So, but I certainly didn't. I didn't play it as a rule. And when I was living in California, I had a record deal that fell through. I didn't know what I was going to do. Murphy really didn't know what he was going to do, but he said, I have gigs back in Texas. Come and play bass with me. And I don't really know how to play bass. And he just said, you'll learn. And he handed me this Fender Precision that and for the next 35 years, I lived as a bass player as well as other things, but my main thing was gonzo bass.
Yeah. Now, what defines a little bit of gonzo bass for those who don't know? Or just for those who don't know, too, when we say the gonzo thing, we're not necessarily talking gonzo like Hunter S. Thompson. We're talking gonzo in a different kind of, right?
Well, we're talking a little bit Hunter S. Thompson.
Aren't we?
I mean, look at Jerry Jeff. Holy mackerel.
He might
He's
as
the
well
most
have.
gonzo of all. I kind of, the gonzo name came to be. Well, I was reading the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and it was gonzo this and gonzo that. Fear, gonzo states of being, and I love that word. And we were on our way to this show and this gig at Castle Creek, and we were in Gary Nunn's checker cab. He had a black checker cab that he brought down, and it was our bandmobile. It was really big, gigantic back seat back there, and we could put all our equipment in front of us. So we're driving to the gig, and I'm reading gonzo, and I was always introduced the band. Jerry Jeff Walker and the Unborn Calves.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeff Walker and the Rodeo Riff Raff was one of them. But I said, Gonzo Band, we'll be the Gonzo Band, Lost Gonzo Band, because it was Lost City Ramblers. And so when I introduced it that night, Jerry Jeff's ears perked up, and he was like, yeah, I kind of like that. So we started calling ourselves the Lost Gonzo Band later to go out and, make records on our own. But for that time,
then it became world domination. World domination for sure. Danielle Williamson over there, she says Gonzo the Muppet. No, I don't think so. Hey, I'm gonna
Gonzo the Muppet. The reason that he's called Gonzo the Muppet probably is for the Lost Gonzo Band. There's no other reason.
Right? I think you might be right. I really like this comment from Doug, and I happen to be able to just pull this one up this way, which is kind of fun. I did it on accident, but check it out. Bob is the best. I consider him a folk singer more by the way he lives and behaves than by his music. And that's a high compliment. All right. What is his most important principle to live by today?
Oh, my God.
I know, man. Aren't these people good with the best questions?
Roll with the punches.
Hey, that's good. Right.
That's basically it. This is all new and to me, and it's engaged me in a way I never thought I'd be engaged as far as, doing live streams and doing recordings like that one that came in. It's called Original Spirit. It was a song of mine, but I did it with the Cowboys and Indians group, which I'd also like to get in there.
Let's take a little minute to talk about that. First of all, Bradley Kopp, the guitar player, he produced that kind of virtual track, and a lot of us have done virtual tracks. And we put that link in, but there's some new people here, so I'm going to put that link in again so that people can check out the video for it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And while I do that, talk to me a little bit about both the Cowboys and Indians project and about that song that we heard in the intro.
Well, I had done some. I have this group. It's called Cowboys and Indians. Cowboys ampersand Indians. It's and the full name goes with it is Where East Meets West. And we started out getting grants from the Texas Commission on the Arts, the City of Austin, and I've been able to play in schools and theaters and stuff like that. It's a multicultural group. We have, I think, in this incarnation, we have 4 Cowboys and 3 Indians, and so it's these
And we're
great
talking,
actors and dancers.
by the way, we're also talking Indian dot and not Indian feather.
Yeah, the real Indians. Dots,
Yeah.
not feathers. And Oliver Rajamani is the tabla
Right.
player. Anu Naimpali is dancer. She does these mudras and interprets the lyrics and stuff. And Nagavali Mandiachari, Nagavali, she's just a killer singer. And then Bradley
Somebody
Kopp is our
mentioned
guitar
her.
player.
I think it was
Rich-
Kate Howard who mentioned her in the in the thing already.
You hear her in the video. She's singing this incredible stuff. Bradley Kopp is a guitar player. Richard Bowden is violinist, and Steve Schwellig. And we did it virtually. We made the track. I had played in India for the State Department, U.S. State Department, and got this idea of this East meets West multicultural thing. And by the time we were rolling, and then the pandemic comes around, and we had to do something virtually. And so we made a great video. Go to my Facebook, Cowboys and Indians page, Cowboys & Indians.
Here, I'll put that up there too. We got it ready to go. Look at us. Boom. You got the website and the Facebook right there. And like I said, I also put the link up there so that people could check it out and find out more about it, as well as see the video for that beautiful song we had in the intro. Tell me a little bit real quick, if you don't mind. I don't do a lot of my own questions until the very end, but one quick question. If you don't mind, because some people like to let the mystery be a little bit about that song.
Original Spirit?
Yes, sir.
Well, I wrote it in India, partly, and partly driving down. I remember right where I was, right off of South Lamar. There, the street is called Kinney, and the thing came to me. She lives down south where the river's age goes back to the original spirit. Just kind of the melody like that, but I had, Andy Wilkinson likes to say that a song is like there's a pyramid there, and what you just see of the Great Pyramid is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's all this gigantic pyramid down below it of all the research you've done and everything, and this up here is the still point. And so for me, I kind of still pointed some Indian experiences. At one time I was saying, she wrote it all down in the roof of her cave, back in the original spirit. But I said where the India ink is flowing over the page.
Yeah, which can have many meanings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ink flowing in Austin as well, whether it be on the page or whether it be
indelible ink.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get to another question. Here's a really, really fun one that I don't even have an answer for this yet, and it's to both of us. It's from our buddy Michael Hearn. Okay, for both of you, I love this question. What is the one thing that you have said to a live audience that you wish you could take back? I think I have mine. I'll do mine first. And that's a great question because, most of the time, I've grown up a little bit in 20 years of playing shows where I used to be like, somebody'd yell out Freebird and I'd be like, I got your Freebird right here, or you'd have to work the crowd a little bit and work the hecklers. But I had a lady a while back somewhere who said, pick it up, will you? And I looked at her and I said, hey, I don't come to where you work and yell stupid at you, and I wasn't really, really upset with myself for saying that because, everybody else got a laugh out of it and whatever. But then I felt bad. I felt really bad later, especially because my friend Michael O'Connor was like, yeah, go clean the Slurpee machine. And I was just so embarrassed. It was so rough and it was so out of character. And I was just like, man, I just took it down the wrong road, and she's just trying to have a good time, and that's probably the one I regret the most saying to a live audience was, I don't come to where you work and yell stupid shit at you.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I don't know. It didn't
No,
really
it
endear
is.
me to it didn't endear me to the crowd, except half the crowd loved it, the other half not so much. Tell me what was something that you've said though. Do you have something?
No comment.
Really?
That's what Michael
Come on,
Hearn told me
man.
to say. He
Oh,
said the only real answer is no comment. When I told him that was an impossible question.
oh man. See, now you shouldn't get any of these questions before the show. That's not fair.
He's
Nobody
the one
gets
that
the
sent it to
questions.
me. They were all sending it to me.
They shouldn't send these questions to you. They should say, you guys should know next time. And Michael, when I get you on my show, which I will get you on my show, once I get you on, we're not going to feed you the questions beforehand, man.
Oh,
No way.
okay.
All right.
Well, all those things, every moment in my live stream, I wish I hadn't have done or
Yeah.
said. And my mind's reeling, trying to bring it up. Or when I do them, it's the stuff that happens in my head that I wish I could take back.
That we wish we could edit. We could
Yeah.
edit what's already up there.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I
Hit a
wish.
delete button or a backspace every once in a
Right.
while.
You have to
Hey,
learn to compartmentalize in this business and not show the sheer terror that is going on at all times when you're doing this
Yeah.
live stream stuff.
Yeah, and I find tell me two things. First of all, I want to mention that your son Tucker has just started doing live streams all the way from India. So I hope you don't mind me just blasting that out there as well. Tucker Livingston, and man, you must be really proud. He has really come into his own as I should say. As long as I've known him, he's been very, very, very great. Poetic, beautiful writer, and he's always hung out with the right cats, in my humble opinion, too. Whether
Yeah.
it was the Willis or the David Halley connection, Willis Allen Ramsey, or whoever it was, he was around the cats that we wanted to be around and that we were looking up to too. And
Yeah.
he's come through with his own beautiful style. So Tucker Livingston, everybody, if somebody puts him in the comments,
Please,
But,
please look for Tucker. He's this. He grew up around all those people. I mean, he was my son, and
it
who
shows.
knows what went into him coming to this point. But he plays like nobody else on the web. I think it's this tunings and this cosmic thing, and he's living in far off India, and so he did his
Southern,
live
right?
stream,
Yeah.
Southern India, and he did the live stream, and he had to do it at 2, 3 in the morning to get at 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday. So he's still looking for his time slot. I think it's going to be 11 o'clock, 11
I think
a.m.
that's a good
Sundays.
idea.
But if you have a chance, folks, check out Tucker Livingston. It's pretty
It's pretty
interesting.
beautiful stuff.
He's the musician's musician. He's like this, he's so eclectic.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, that doesn't mean that it has to be like musicians only music. My wife came
No.
in, and the first thing she said, and she has very eclectic taste, but likes to stay on the fringe of music. It's one of the most attractive things about my wife.
Yeah.
She has no interest in being the guitar player's girlfriend. Never did. Thank God I married her. But she comes in and she's like, "That's beautiful. What is that?" And I said, "This is Tucker. I've been telling you about him and stuff like that." So,
All right.
but I wanted to just swing by that real quick. Oh, thank you, Danielle, for putting that in the comments. I really appreciate that. When is your regular live stream? Do you have a regular time for yours?
Mine is every Thursday so far at 7 p.m. Central Time every Thursday, and it's coming up March the 4th.
I'm gonna.
And
put
I
this
usually
one
have a
up here.
theme, and
Oh, yeah?
with mine as well. Last week was songs I wish I had written part 1, and that turned out pretty well. And there's just a lot of guys. I did The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
There's a Segway City for you.
I'll tell you, man, I had on 5 pages of music. It was like, but you remember Burt Bacharach and Hal David
Yeah.
wrote it, and Gene
Yeah.
Pitney recorded it. Great song.
That has to be well, I mean, that's another thing I feel. Do you feel like having some sort of extra reason for people to come to the live stream also is a thing, because we're competing with so many live
Oh
streams
yeah,
now
you got to
that
do you got to do more than I've found that I could go I can do it, but I usually have to prepare for it, and especially with the themes I did. Uh, um, I did a Jerry Jeff Walker sort of tribute where everything was Jerry Jeff.
right.
I did Cosmic Cowboy Part 1, Cosmic Cowboy Part 2. I did a Guy Clark thing. I mean, I try to do some theme. They're just segments. It's mostly my
Yeah.
stuff, but I'll do segments that, and everything it's never the same set. And I'm
I
doing
think
songs that I haven't done in so long, and it's just fantastic. It's a lot of fun.
it can be a real challenge sometimes too. I'm finally at the point now where people are asking me to play a song that I might have written 20 years ago and have that challenge of pulling something off the first record that I haven't played in a while. But at the same time, it's kind of like, wow, someone is requesting a song I wrote 20 years ago that they still love, and
Yeah.
man, I can't believe it. So Bill Lewis asks, I'm just going to throw this one up because it
Bill
just came on.
Lewis.
This is a good little question, man. I like this. Bob, any chance you might sit down at the piano for a few songs on a Thursday night sometime in the future? Now, I started incorporating piano into my shows because I've been writing so much on piano these days. I'm not a great piano player, but I love playing the piano, and so I'm kind of like, whatever. I got to do it a little bit. I got to be fearless and give it a shot. Yourself, do you do a lot of writing on piano, and would you consider what Bill said there?
I wrote a lot of songs on piano early on, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a piano. It's a famous piano.
How so?
It's a when it came time when we were playing with Jerry Jeff, uh, Gary Nunn went off with Michael Murphy, and we joined up with Jerry Jeff. The rest of the band joined up with Jerry Jeff. Gary, right after we cut Cosmic Cowboy, the band broke up,
Yeah.
and Gary goes off with Murphy. Jerry Jeff gets set to record what would be Viva Terlingua. So we're all down in Lukenbach. Gary Nunn comes back. He's all depressed and has this song, London Homesick Blues.
Yeah.
So we're recording at that time. We're live in Lukenbach, with microphones hanging in the trees and bandy roosters, miles of bandy rooster tape we have. And we would record, and they needed a piano. And I'm the only one that had a movable. It's a Baldwin Spinet. I bought it for Dan Strait from
I
Dan
grew up with a
Strait.
Baldwin Spinet. My mother still
Great,
has it. They're great.
great
Yep.
piano.
Acrosonic.
And I wrote a lot of songs on it. But I played that piano, and they came and got my piano, took it out to Lukenbach, and that's a piano that was
No
on Viva
way.
Terlingua, and on the next one, which was Man Must Carry On.
Now,
I
for
think
those
it-
who don't know, I'm sorry, the nature of this, it always sounds like I'm interrupting. I apologize in advance. For those who don't know, a spinet piano is not a grand piano. It's not a baby grand piano. It's not an upright. It has like a little bit of a lower profile to it. And
Yeah, gosh, I wish you'd have told me this before. I
What do
wish
you
you'd
mean?
have told me about the lower profile. Well, because I'd like to have had a better profile. I mean, if I'd have had at least a upright, but a proper
You can hide
upright.
behind it. You can hide
Yeah.
behind an upright piano.
But
That's
it
for
would have been
sure. You
hard
can
to
turn it
move to
sideways.
as many
Yeah,
times
it's
as
a
I've moved.
lot harder. Spinets were great for that, man, and they had a great tone. I'm sorry I interrupted.
And I've got, listen to Viva Terlingua. And I've got that piano, but it's in there. I do my live streaming in here in various angles and stuff. But
so maybe not, Bill. Maybe not this week anyway.
But I'm trying to learn, and with your help, would hopefully do it, to run a line all the way from this central command into the other room, and be able to still broadcast. I haven't.
You could potentially one thing that you might be able to do that I wouldn't be able to help. I still have people helping me do all this stuff. Somebody's got to tell me. But I think you can like switch the camera in the middle of the live stream, so you could have like an iPhone just kind of sitting there and just go, "No, I'm going to switch to the other camera," and then you walk in with the camera and you sit down at the piano, you play a couple songs. Because I don't know about your group, like I like to have good sound, but I find that to to do something interesting and throw a curveball,
Oh
our
yeah.
friends and fans and family that are so kind to watch us during pandemic time, they're much more interested in that than they are. And they like good sound. Who cares if we have good mics and stuff? But so for you to do that, they might really love it, man. You might think about it.
I will definitely think about it. I will get that camera. I've got a thing on my, if it can really be used, but it can't be used wireless. So you have to, if you did an iPhone, you would have to have a super long cable.
Hell of a cord. Well, they're out there. I had
Yeah.
to run a cord here in this office, the plank tank, all the way across so that I could. It's like a 50-foot Ethernet cable, so I could plug in on the other side of the office building, up through the drop ceiling, and my patient, beautiful wife helped me out with that. Let's get some more questions because we have so many, and this is really fun. Thanks for being here, man.
Our mutual frustrations.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we get to keep up the appearances, I guess. Dr. Felix. I don't know why it's Felix asked this. So I think you already know this question, so it's not a curveball by any means, but you've got a good answer for this. So I hope Dr. Felix, if he's not watching now, or she, is it he or she, would be interested and check it out later. All right, Dr. Felix. I didn't know if it was a last name. You never know with a name like Plankenhorn. I will pose question here, it says. Well, thank you. You were that high harmony vocal for the Gonzos backing Jerry Jeff, which maybe not. You gave it that classic backing vocal sound we associated with Jackie Jack. Over the years, have you had to lower the song key as your vocal cords age and you lose some of that high end? He's here, Dr. Felix. So, tell him about it.
Well, I did not sing that high harmony. I sang the third, meaning, like if it was a song like Charlie Dunn. Charlie Dunn, that's a melody. He's the one to see. Charlie Dunn, Charlie Dunn, he's the one to see.
So you were just above.
I was just right above him. Now, Gary Nunn,
Charlie Dunn,
a lot of time would sing the high harmony, after
one
that
above
it was
that.
after when we got John Inman in the band.
Yeah.
John always sang the high harmonies on all that Riding High, all those the other records, and had the great, pretty powerful high harmony. But I always sang that middle thing, just letting it roll, letting high time carry the low.
Carry the low. Yep.
Living my life, easy come, easy go. And I would find these weird harmony things within that framework that were probably not right, but because nobody ever told me not to do it, it worked until later years when I would be in sessions or something and they're going, okay, now what are you singing there? It's like, Charlie Robinson and all those guys and we've done a lot of, they're real protectors of the analog world. Not Charlie Robinson, I'm sorry, Bruce Robinson.
Yeah.
He's the analog guy, and loves all those records, loves them and picks them apart and knows them better than we do in some ways.
It seems like a lot of people, a couple of different things that are interesting about that. Number one, most people, depending on certain country records, they'll have one harmony below and one harmony above.
Yeah,
but
the Beatles did
that. You guys on the records would have Jerry Jeff and then you and then either Gary P. or John Inman on the top. And it created a specific sound. It was different. And that kind of forced you to do different harmonies in the middle because you weren't, that would make things change.
But Jerry Jeff
it worked.
Jerry Jeff would change. He would change and talk about singing a different melody and dropping things down. And all of a sudden, we would still keep singing our parts. But I realized, hey, man, he's really gone. He's changed his melody.
He's talking.
But when I went back with him after not being with him for a long time, and I went back, these songs he really did lower keys and stuff like that. I have, in certain instances, lowered keys. When I did Oh, I one of the songs I did in this songs I wish I'd written was "Solitary Man" by Neil Diamond, and it's
Yeah.
a G. It's in G. Now I could probably used to sing it in G, but don't know that I will. But until I can find you to be able to do it, every time like that, so it's easier for me to go down. But then I have to play it in F, and I'm playing in
So
F,
your
and
chord changes are going to be totally different in
my
your left
chord
hand.
change is completely different, and but my brother, I have a brother out there who's also a musician. I don't know if he's out there watching, but he said, "Man, that's a hard key to play," and it's like because you're playing a bar chord F
Yeah,
a
as your
lot.
root, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah. There's so many great ways to kind of work around that over time,
I
but
know it. I
you
know
know,
you.
people don't realize necessarily that when you got your guitar, okay, so you're in G and you're saying, well, now I'm going to play this tune in F, so I got to hit this bar chord all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and they don't think to themselves, well, you could put a capo on, and play F like this
yeah, yeah.
instead,
I know all that.
but it changes everything. It changes
Yeah,
the whole vibe of the song. Once you slap that capo on, it's gonna change the vibe of the song. And
yeah.
you gotta start thinking of the chords a whole nother way. Like those things are available. Now, do you find that you just moved up or down because of just kind of like where it goes? I find that a lot of times if I'm in a key that's like G, I don't move to like a weird, you know, flat key. I'll go from G to an F, or I'll go from E to D. I won't go E to E flat a lot because it feels like it needs to stay in a sharp key, or it feels like
Yeah.
it needs to stay. There's something
See,
about
because
the way the
I
keys
do a lot
work.
of because I do a lot of harmonica. It kind of pretty much has to be in a major key.
Well, there you go.
And so
Yeah.
there you go. Because I don't have
Yeah.
all the flats and sharps and stuff. I do have a B flat, but um, when uh, I do a lot of I play a lot in D, E, G. Just regular keys. I can
Regular
still
keys keep
sing
it
it.
easy.
I can
Yep.
start it still, hit the notes. I think I can sing better than I ever did early on because I was just
Hmm.
screaming. I didn't have any idea what I was even doing. It was just
Yeah.
so gonzo.
Well, and people don't always necessarily know too that like if we're playing like if you're playing one more thing, if you're playing like a Willis Allen Ramsey song like Tucker did the other day, if you move that into another key, you can't take
Right.
you can't play that in C all of a sudden. It's going to sound like a whole nother
Yeah,
world.
you're
So you're
right.
stuck with it. You're
Yeah.
stuck with that key because of this crazy guitar playing.
But in
Now, if it's
Tucker's
just
instance, Tucker tunes down a full step, and
I know.
his guitar is kind of folding up like an autumn leaf, and to get him a new guitar. It's hard to get one there at the end of the road in the
We've
jungle.
talked about that in the jungle where he's at. Hey man, he told me when we were talking about a cobra there, and it's called 9 Steps. Do you know about this? So
I
they have a
thought it was
cobra.
the 8-step snake.
He said it was the 9 steps, and I said, "What the heck is that?" And he's like, "Oh, I saw a 9-step cobra today." And I said, "What's that?" He's like, "Well, it's 9 steps, and then you're dead after you see one."
Yeah,
And I said, "Oh my God, that is a great somewhere. Where are you putting that, man?" He's like, "Oh, I couldn't write that song." I was like, "Ah, it doesn't matter. Just put it in the bank and put it somewhere, because the 9-step, oh my God, or the 8-step cobra. What a great." And I've been there, and to the southern. I've been to Kerala and to Bengaluru, and know that southern part of India that he's in a
in
little bit.
whose heart the dust of India has lain, shall find peace in no other land.
Wow.
Somebody said that to me in a sauna once, just out of the clouds.
Now, this is the
He
kind of
knew who
story
I
you
was. He
can't.
kind of knew who I was, and he knew I'd gone over there and been in that part of the world, lived there for a while. And Tucker's living
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's in now. Hey, I missed the very last part of Dr. Felix's question, which is good. Are you ever going to get new merch for us fans, like a new T-shirt or an autobiography? That's a big
Well,
question right there.
I'm working on this book for Texas Tech Press, and I've been working on it a long time. When the pandemic hit, everything changed, and I was about slowly start to wrap it up, and I had come up with an ending. And then so many things have happened during this time that, as well as trying to make a living in the music business, that to be able to cognize what is happening is a book in itself. And so
Right.
I'm looking for an ending somewhere there, and I've got a lot of notes I'm going through with the editor and stuff like that. But it's a university press, so it takes a long time, even after you've turned it in. And I know I'm very remiss in getting it all done, but it was hellaciously long, and I had to
Yeah.
cut it down. From what they said, and
I
a
think.
lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And to see,
and continues.
I get to also not just talk about this stuff that we know, the Jerry Jeff and the Murphy stuff, and all the colorful stories that go with that. Ray Wiley Hubbard backstage, and what kind of guy he really is,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
really a great guy. I mean, it's like
I
Ray is
know.
the fairest, music leader of a band I ever
I
played
say
with.
all the time, he's the one who taught me how to treat a band.
Yeah,
He's the one who taught me how to be fair to a band and how to be straight with them and how everything. Also about how to perform on stage. Ray Wiley used to always say, "Hey, if you're playing an opening set and your set ends at 7:30, be off stage by 7:29."
yeah,
And it
exactly.
doesn't matter who he's opening for and who he's in front of an audience, he will be off stage
Yeah,
before the next band is a time. And everything about him is so beautiful that way. I
I
completely
agree.
agree.
I agree.
Him
I
and
agree.
Ely as well was a big one. And I know you've had Susan Darrow from KPFT, who we both probably know and love. I know and love her over in Houston. She said, "How do you go about getting a gig working for the State Department?"
Well, when I had been interested in India, and I was there, it was in 1986,
Mm-hmm.
and I met this Fulbright scholar who was on the road for the State Department,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy, his name was Frank Block, and he was a professor of legal aid at Vanderbilt University, and he had got this Fulbright. So the State Department's sending him all over getting gigs, and just paying for him to do workshops and stuff. And he said, and I said, "That's fantastic." He said, "Well, they'll do that with music or art or dance or anything. They have a big program, public affairs." And it's the idea of disseminating information about America and America's
Yeah,
interests to the world in whatever way you can. And yes, they're going to try to put a McDonald's on
of
every
course. Yeah.
corner of every street in the world, but and the State Department facilitates that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they send America, at least at that time. I mean, and the Russians and the Americans were duking it out for the hearts and minds of these people. They'd
This is
send the Bolshoi
height of the
Ballet, and
Cold
we'd
War.
send what's
Mm-hmm.
that?
Was it
Oh,
height of
during the
Cold
Cold
War?
War, yeah, in the height of the Cold War, they would send the Bolshoi Ballet, and the cultural hearts and minds are what they were trying to grab.
Yeah.
And so I'm in southern India. I sent a telegram. At that time, there no phones were working at all, because you have to book a call. It may take 3 or 4 hours before it
Yeah.
goes through. To call back home, we'd have to go to the big city, check into a room, have the greatest South Indian vegetarian food on the planet,
Oh yeah.
and wait for your call. And and then when you'd finally get Jerry Jeff, Jerry Jeff, can you hear me? Can you hear me? This is Bob. Do we have any gigs? What? Those were so
It might as well have been a tin can on either side,
that's
right?
so what did work were telegrams. So I sent a telegram to the U.S. Embassy in New Delhi. I'm a musician from Austin, Texas. I got my guitar with me. I got this idea for a show. Now, to complicate matters, who is there with me is John Inman.
Oh, yeah, great. I mean, our
So John
guitar
and
player
I,
we're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
John and I are there, and we end up through this process, get to the first consulate, the closest consulate, which was Madras. We went to the consulate, had an appointment with this public affairs officer named Tim Moore. We walked in, and I said, I'm going to do this history of American folk and country music for these people. And I'll tell stories about these songs and melodies came over from the Appalachians and they landed in Allegheny. I got them Blue Ridge Mountain blues, and do a little bit of that, and then go, and he just was non-committal, and he just looked at me. And then those same melodies went out, and the Cowboys started writing it. Don't bury me on the lone prairie. And he didn't say a word. And about halfway through the third song, he stopped me and said, hold on just a minute. Do you mind? And he reached down and from behind his desk and pulled out a banjo. And he said, I've been waiting for you to walk through this door for a long time.
Oh, man.
And he says, you got the gig. He says, I'll put you on the road in a year. In 87. It was like 9 months or something, to work it all out. Meanwhile, we went back home.
Yeah.
And I bought a little amp for John, and we had to figure out how to make our sound there, because the PAs and the sound systems in India are insane,
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I know I'm rambling on, but
no. This is exactly what we're asking about.
Okay, yeah, but they put us on the road. We played 60 cities in India in 1987. And John, so my wife and kids are there in India, and I'm coming, and it's working out for me because Jerry Jeff is back there, but I'm able somehow to make a living here, and at least help make a living. And so I would go back and forth, and I would do a Jerry Jeff tour, but he kind of knew that I was coming and going, and so he would come and go, and he would just say, I'm going to go out and do a solo thing with John Prine, and so it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to paint a house, or am I going to go to
well,
Pakistan?
This is very good. This is very good advice for musicians out there. Whether you be a side person, whether you be a bass player or a drummer, you have to be resourceful, and you have to go.
Absolutely.
I might have the greatest gig in the world, Harmony Kelly plays with Kenny Chesney, but she plays with a lot of other people, and she does a lot of other things, and this is a perfect example. From now till then, we've all got to do, just because you play with Jerry Jeff
roll with the punches.
That's it, man. Yeah. But, so how many gigs did you say? You said 66 gigs? No, 66 cities?
66 cities. And in maybe 6 weeks to 2 months, and they would fly you to, say you fly to Calcutta.
Yeah.
They meet you at the airport. They take you. You go to a hotel. The next day you get up and you're on a 6 a.m. train to even further north than that, North India, into Assam, into, right there on the border of China. And you play these shows, and the State Department says, Americans are coming, they're Cowboys, and they got cowboy hats, and here's me and Tucker. Yeah. And Tucker started doing these shows with me. And so Tucker and Tucker's like this real good looking kid. And
handsome devil.
He would go, when we started doing more of it, ended up going to the Middle East. And I remember going to Yemen, and it's like the first thing they say is, and this is 2000, the year 2000, we go to Yemen, and
so from 87 until 2000,
I played every couple of years. Every couple of years, we'd go and do another tour. Ended up going all over Africa, but in 2000 we went to the Middle East, and the way they would do it, I would do it because I would find it like. There was a woman named I can't believe her name, Donna Winton. She was a public affairs officer in Lahore, Pakistan. And so she's likes us and likes Tucker and I, and we'd go and play all these shows and stuff. And then later she's posted to Bahrain. And she calls me up and says, hey, it's the Sultan of Bahrain's 25th anniversary with the U.S. We want you to come over here and do. Well, if we're going to do that, can you get us other countries? And so she was our kind of sponsor to put it all together. And so it's been a lot of fun and a lot of adventure, and we made movies the whole way.
It's just incredible, and I just encourage you to, tell us more about that. And so many people. I recently read Kimmy Rhodes and Gracie's book, the
Yeah,
duet
I've got it.
memoir. That book is fantastic, and I'm telling you, man. For those who don't know necessarily about this Lubbock thing, we're going to jump into that a little bit because we spent a lot of time on this other thing, and I want to make sure we get to some other questions. Also, real quick, thanks to Austin Music TV, which we are on right now, AustinCityJams.com. Kirby, I'll get your question in a minute. And once again, we are talking right now with Bob Livingston. And what I want to do right now is kind of just jump over to this question that might take us into the whole crazy Lubbock scene and all of the amazing things. But Randy Kershaw says, I'd like to hear Bob's take on how the very fertile Lubbock/Austin exchange came into being from his perspective. Who was the first wave to break camp up there and move down here? He says, I presume either the Flatlanders or the Hancock family. Jimmy Dale was here for Vulcan Gas Psychedelic. And any interesting, he points out that it's worth pointing out that it wasn't all musicians. Austin has had longtime radio DJs that came out of Lubbock. We were just talking about that with Gracie. And of course, Kimmy Rhodes music-wise coming from there too. He says, it's always been an interesting story to be told in my view. So besides backstory, who was sort of the first wave to break camp and come down to Austin from Lubbock that you can think of?
I think it's me.
Yeah.
This is, in my perspective, 1969. I mean, from 1969, the first draft, I go to California. Right. I come back with Murphy. We need a place to live. We moved to Austin right there about 70, 71. Now, I know that everybody had come down there and lived and, breathed and stayed from time to time, but we moved there permanently,
Yeah.
And so, but at that time we were all gypsies, and Ely had run away from the circus, so I'm sure he was in Austin. Everybody was
which
there.
Which is true, by the way, everyone. Which is absolutely true, by the way. That's not a joke. He really did.
Yeah. He went and fled a lot of, and I remember once, and Ely had a place. He was down in, right living on Lake Austin, this funky little lake house in this little cove. And he's the first guy that ever made me artichokes. He made me artichokes, and he told me how to eat them. And it's like he was making it, I hate to say this, but he was making it erotic, because he was like getting down to the heart and the thing. And you have to surgically put it out, and he was showing how to get that fuzzy hair stuff, and he's cutting them to little wedges, But so Ely played. I tried to get him a gig in San Antonio, and I went there, and he auditioned and purposely blew the audition so he wouldn't have to play in the place that I was trying to get it, which was like, on the place called the River Roost on the San Antonio River, and all these Air Force guys are in there.
That's a very Joe story too. He's gonna go blow a gig because his buddy wants it. That is
stood on one
right
leg
there, man.
He stood on one leg and played. And was real fidgety and did all this stuff. And he was totally nervous. I'm not nervous, but just uncomfortable. And he just didn't want to be there. And everybody was looking at him.
Well, I mean, if you wanted that's because I know Joe was one of the first too. Absolutely, one of the first, and that the place where they live, they still have. I mean, they've been there for a good 30 years, I think. When plus more than that,
I went to the first time I ever met Ely, I was, I believe I was in college,
Hmm.
and it was like 68, maybe 69. I went over to his house, and he answered the door, and he had one red leg and one blue leg, is all I can remember. And they had all these black lights going on, and he was dancing
Oh,
and he was like the Lubbock Dylan,
oh yeah.
and so that was going on. But at the same time, that draft happened, and I left. I left school the next day, and that's when I go to California. And it happened really quick that all of a sudden, we've made A&M record, Geronimo's Cadillac, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's like it's the first real nationally released record, I think, in
Huh.
Austin, Texas. I mean, we're, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what,
yeah.
1972? What other
Yeah.
records?
What's really popping out of there?
Maybe something had done it. If you want to say the Sir Douglas Quintet is it,
Yeah,
but
Sir Doug,
they're more
right?
San Antonio. I don't know, Austin.
There's absolutely more San Antonio.
And Jerry
Um,
Jeff moves to town at that time, and so. But all these Lubbock guys started coming in, and who really came was Lloyd Maines,
right.
who saw what we were doing, and he had produced, the Los Gonzo record, and he produced the Jerry Jeff record, and finally he says, "Man, this is, I'm getting out of Lubbock, I'm going here."
Yeah.
But and Ely came, and Butch and Joe, and a lot of people. David Halley,
Right.
David's so great.
Tucker played that beautiful David Halley song for the benefit we were just talking about. And he
Yeah,
asked me too. He was like, what should I play for this? I said, hey, it's a gospel, everybody welcome. You might as well call it a Unitarian Universalist kind of gospel. That's how we do it with the Purgatory Players, and it's really
yeah,
fun. And he said, I love this beautiful David Halley song. I said, we're already David Halley fans in that
yeah, yeah.
group. Anyway, Sela does Calling in the Wilderness. And for those who don't know, check out some David Halley. Listen, we're getting close, and I know we're going to hear Cabbage Alley soon, which is usually my thing. I want to tell everybody we're going to stay online and make sure we hit all of these questions once we go off the television. We're going to make sure we get Becky Hadley's and Bud's and Kate's and Brittany's and Larry's and Kirby's. Okay, it's not going to take too long to get through all those questions, but I
Okay,
want to make sure. I
you
make
never
sure.
know.
I think. Well, you know what, man? I'm good. I can reel you in if I need to. I'm not reeling you in because I'm really, really enjoying the stories, and I want to know about these things as well. We have so many friends in common, even though you and I have never really played a show. You got up once at, more than once when I was doing filling in for Bill or being a special guest on Mystery Monday. And you
Yeah.
really, it's really, really great, Bob. When you come up and you do a song, it's not, hey, I'm going to come up and do my song. You grab the room, man. You have presence, and uh, uh, and it's not, it's just knowing what you're doing.
Well,
And
and I think it's also, I mean, what I do is it's like I'm trying to connect, and I use words and loudness or whatever it is.
oh yeah,
I'm just going to try to and people are very forgiving, and they're going. I like a lot of times because I'll tell stories, and I do a lot of stories in the show, and I remember playing this gig at Hondo's in
oh I know Hondos.
Gettysburg. It's
Yeah,
a kind of a word, it's just
I
people
know
eating,
Hondos.
and there's this, and I'm saying, hey, you back there in the red shirt, this is important. You need to know this. Hey, you back there. And he's going, huh? Me? And I go, yeah, you. This is important. This is Texas music history. I need to tell you the story. And everybody goes, what's he talking about? What's he talking
Yeah,
about? So I had
yeah.
the whole room and they listen. I tell this story. Then I start singing the song. Everybody starts eating
They
again.
go right back to eating. They go right to back to eating. Hey, I want to mention in the comments too, Bud. I promise I've got your question ready. We are going to get to it. We'll stay online if we don't get to it on here. Before we go off on the television portion of this, I only ask one question that's mine every week. I like to know what everybody's guilty pleasure music is, and I know it's guilty, not guilty. Dalton Domino was on last week. And, he's a big fan of Lubbock. He moved to Lubbock from Memphis and done a lot of music there. He's in College Station now. Young man writing a lot of great songs. He let us all know that he secretly likes Nickelback. And I know, hey man, and I've had people say Spice Girls, and I've had people say this. But is there, John D. Graham told me he was a closet instrumental jazz fan, and that a lot of people didn't know. Bill Kirchen was the first one to say, hey, these aren't, really guilty pleasures. But what I like is people saying, what do you listen to that people might not be, aware that you're into, or that they might not know about, that you really dig, whether it be something that's kind of huge and popular. Who was it said ABBA the other day? Somebody said ABBA on the show too. I think that might have been Malford Milligan. But do you have a guilty pleasure music that you're not so guilty about?
Well, I listen to a lot of opera on YouTube,
And
I get it on the TV, and we watch. I'll get it, go to Pavarotti and James Brown, and
you go right back.
The thing is, when you go to Pavarotti, you'll get 2 or 3 of his arias and stuff, and it's with a crowd, and the beautiful woman comes out, and they're so top form that it blows your mind, and you end up being mesmerized. And YouTube goes from next to the next, and you end up watching James Brown singing "It's a Man's World" with him, and then Andrea Bocelli comes in, and he's got the most, unbelievable voice, and it's, I don't know if that's guilty pleasure, but it's mind-boggling. And
it may be something that people don't know that you dig. I love the Puccini stuff, and I love the Verdi stuff because I got to hear a lot of that in New York. But those are kind of the obvious. Are you into the crazy stuff, like the Ring Cycle, like the Wagner, or are you
no.
the heavy German? Or are you more into the Italian stuff?
Yeah, well, I'm into accessibility. It's kind of like one of the first accessible person that I ever heard that played the blues was Joe Ely, because he's distilling a lot of this stuff and playing it back. And then the Beatles are like that too. But I think that to learn this opera, and they did a good job with me to have, Eric Clapton come up and sing that beautiful song, and then Pavarotti is right there and singing his part, and he's got they're making, I don't know, it introduces them both to another audience, and it sure introduced me to this more accessible. I never really gone, and I have gone to, I've seen some beautiful operas, Madame Butterfly, the big ones, but I never really, all this Wagner and stuff like that. I don't like the German bombastic thing to me,
There's some stuff that's very, very beautiful. You'd be surprised, but I find the Wagner a little heavy at times as well. I also love the fact my brother used to say, Giuseppe Verdi just means Joe Green. I love that. I was like, You're right. It sounds so great in Italian. Now, and I also find that when watching or listening to opera, it's one of those things where the music transcends me not knowing the language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you feel it.
Absolutely.
Hey, we're 30 seconds before we leave, but we're going to stay online and answer the rest of these questions real quick. My guest has been Bob Livingston. Thank you, Austin. Music TV, Sheila Steele, AustinCityJams.com. Come back next week. We're going to have Henry Invisible. I think after that, I don't know, but you can check it out online and find out who's next. Thank you so much, Bob. We're going to stay online for a minute. Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. And we are off television, but we're staying on. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a few things now that we are just online, everybody. Hi, Joanna. Sorry that the Twitter wasn't working today. I'm glad you tuned in on Twitch. For some reason, Twitter didn't work today. We got Bob Livingston, and I'm going to make sure we get to these last questions. Kirby had a couple questions for you, but I'm going to just go with one. Because he had 3, maybe I'll do 1.5 for Kirby, because he deserves it. With all the traveling you did pre-pandemic, what's it like to stay home now?
It's pretty surreal, actually, but I love it too. I've grown accustomed to not having to get. I was always in this. I mean, I really was on the road a lot, and I would always gear up for the weekend, even though if it wasn't a tour. And I got to where I didn't want to really go out for more than a couple of weeks, and then it was 10 days, and then it was
start smelling the barn, right?
Yeah. And if I'd gone on these crazy tours where when I went and play Vancouver Island, I go and play that Vancouver Island Music Festival, and
Just right where I'm at.
I'm over there, and so I did get some gigs, around. I didn't know you then,
Yes, sir.
to be able to talk to where
I
would
knew
be a good
you.
place to. Well, but I mean,
No, we
somehow or
ran
another, I had
we ran
no
in
idea
similar
you were
circles.
there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had no idea,
Yeah.
and but so
It's been surreal. I
it's
think that's a really good way to put it.
yeah, it's been surreal but at the same time, it's been this more relaxing in that. For one thing, I don't have all these expenses, but that's good or bad. You know what I mean? With IRS season coming
Yes,
up.
sir.
But
Yep, yep, yep.
my stomach and stuff like that, and I haven't been sick. We have been totally isolated and virtual. I haven't been to a store since March the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
I've been nowhere. My son and his two precious grandkids and my wife and we're in the pod together,
That's your
and
bubble. Yeah.
that's our bubble, and there's some bit of risk there on a family member, so I'm not going to be the one to bring anything, that. And I've been vaccinated. We've been all vaccinated. They
Well,
haven't,
that's great.
but
That's great, though.
yeah, we've had both of our vaccinations. So who knows? I mean, they talk about, okay, and so I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel. If it is in fact a light, I know
Mhm.
I'm at the end of the tunnel somehow, but I don't know
Sure.
if there's a light there to be able to go back and play live again. It just seems weird. It seems like it's a year off or something.
It is strange, and I find Becky Hadley was asking, and that kind of goes to her question. Since you've had your COVID vaccine, when do you think you'll be performing live? And like me, I just don't know the answer to that question. It has to be when we feel like we and our fans are going to be safe, right?
Exactly.
I take the people who would pay 5, 10, $20 to come and see me. I take them really, really seriously, man.
Yeah.
I don't take it for granted. And so I just, but I will say, and tell me how you feel about this, because I'm curious. I feel like when we come out of this, we will still do a little bit of this because I have fans all over the world that get to hear me every week.
A lot
You
of this.
know,
I don't think
that we're
it'll
gonna
ever
be
go
doing.
back.
I think I may be able to play a show at the Saxon Pub where we're happy and we're doing it and it's killing and all those kind of things. But I think that whether I'm on the road or not, I'll still do my live stream because there's people that want to see me over in the UK and in Japan and in the
You know,
Netherlands and
Jerry Jeff always said, I'm going to put some money into this technology. Send what do they call those things, like in Star Wars, where the little creature was there and you could see him, but he wasn't really there. Hologram,
holographic. Yeah.
hologram.
Yeah.
So I want to send my hologram out to everybody. I don't have to leave my house. I don't want it to go anywhere. They want him to go to, to Tokyo. It's like these Japanese guys comes in on the front row of the Broken Spoke, and the place is
Oh,
packed
yeah.
in there going, Jerry Jeff. And they owned
We're
a
like,
bar
"Please
called
come,"
Jerry Jeff
Yeah.
in Tokyo. Jerry Jeff. And so they showed us, and the only English was Jerry Jeff Walker and then Los Gonzo Band, and that was it. So it was all in Japanese. Wanted us to go there. He was offering him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them to just come back to the Broken Spoke to see me. Because I'm not going, I want to send my
Ray
hologram.
too, I know a long while back. Like I went over to Europe with Ray Wiley, and that was my first time going to the Netherlands back in 2000. I think was the first time I went over, and I know a lot of people really, really
It's
want
an
him to go.
adventure.
It
The
is, and they
world is
want,
small. We love it.
but once you get to a point, it's like, do I want it to be that hard? And for me, I love it. I still have the vagabond spirits.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to feel when I'm 75. Maybe I still will. Maybe I'll be really, really happy that I can do it online.
Yeah. It's
I
good
think
that
that-
you're making this choice early, son.
I like the way you put that. Some other quick questions that are really, really beautiful. Bob, I hope I get your name right, Bob Joserand. he was hoping that you would talk a little bit about your experiences
Bud,
with
Bud,
Bobby Bridger and Bobby Bridger and his connection to the Lost Gonzo Band.
yeah, it's Bud Josserand, old friend of ours.
Josserand, did I say it wrong? Okay,
Josserand,
cool. Josserand.
great guy. So Bud, I first met Bobby Bridger. The Lost Gonzo Band had come through. Somehow we were all here. Everything was happening in Austin, and somehow or another we go out to his house. He lived on Lake Travis as well. I had a place. Murphy had a place. Bobby was living there, and we became friends. And somehow or another, Bobby Bridger had, once had a record deal with Monument Records, and I think it might even been on RCA. He was from Louisiana, a really beautiful voice, a good player, amazing songwriter, and started writing to in his spare time, was interested in mountain men, and Jim Bridger in particular. He was his great uncle or something like that, and who discovered Great Salt Lake, first white man into Yellowstone, all this stuff.
Wow.
Did you see the movie Revenant?
Yeah, of course.
And so the Revenant is this story, and Bobby had the story as Hugh Glass, who's the guy that gets mauled by the bear, and Bobby wrote a play about it. It was a musical called The Seekers of the Fleece, and the cycle. It's a trilogy: The Ballad of the West, The Seekers of the Fleece, the next, and which is about the mountain men. The next one is called Lakota, which is about the Sioux. All these beautiful songs and Shakespearean couplet between the song, and amazing stuff. And the third is Pahaska, long hair, which is what the Sioux called Buffalo Bill. So suddenly, here's this professor that we strike. We've already got the band. We can play with anybody. We were the interchangeable band, and that was one. Played Frumholz's albums, Rusty Weir's album, all that stuff. And so
royalty to us.
When we played with Bobby, we went to Colorado to record the album.
What part?
In a studio in Denver. Well, we go to Denver, and there was a really good, I forget now what it was, a really good recording studio. So you got to understand, here are these songs, these beautiful songs, and this Shakespearean couplet that laces it together, narration. And they get for the narrator Slim Pickens, and who's a friend of Bobby's, right?
How did that happen?
And so mountain men. And so Slim Pickens has the largest collection of original Indian and mountain man clothes and stuff. All the costumes in Jeremiah Johnson's were Slim Pickens stuff.
What?
And then there's this other guy there.
Yeah.
This other guy that he hangs out with called Timberjack Joe. And Timberjack Joe he wears a elk. He was a farmer geologist or engineer who goes mountain man when he retires. He has the long beard. He wears this elk. He shoots the elk, tans the hide, has a skunk skin hat, mojo all over him, bear claws and stuff like that, a 45 stuck there, and he can trap and shoot and
So
drive
he's the real
this giant,
deal.
the real deal, but a showman. Drives this giant Winnebago down the road with a horse trailer behind it. The thing is full of costumes, and he walked into the Nighthawk there on Austin, and when we walked in the door, he's wearing that regalia, and he goes, "Woo! Turn me loose! I'll never be the same." That's what he said when he walked in. The whole place looked at him, and he sat down, and the waitress comes up and he said, "Honey, you're as pretty as a picture. I'd give you 6 beaver pelts to go back to the mountains with me." And so we're all going, wow. And he's doing
What's
it for
going
us.
on? Yeah.
He's doing it for us. But so that's Bobby Bridger, introduces us to all these people, and Slim Pickens. And so when we make the record, we sing these great songs. Slim does his parts. So at the end of the whole scene, we go up in the mountains somewhere where I don't know. And they had a rendezvous. And the rendezvous is with teepees all around it and a giant bonfire, and they had a quadra recorder with four on all four corners. They've got microphones nobody sees, and these mountain men and these people and these hunters and these trappers that have fallen into this to make it all colorful are all there. And everybody and they're passing this white lightning. And we're singing, and the deal is you got to take this giant slug of this stuff and then tell a story or do a poem or sing a song and pass it to the next guy. And these stories would be like a lot of hunting stories. The grizzly was right up on me. I took that double barrel shotgun, put it into his mouth, let both, these hair-raising, unbelievable stories. And all the time they're cooking this giant, they have the Dutch ovens and they've got bear meat and elk and trout and corn and potatoes and all this funky stuff in there going. And we, that's how we, at the rendezvous, white men, let's see, at the rendezvous, white men and the Sioux smoked the pipe, traded hair for the maiden's fair. Oh, the rendezvous, 1832, by the green riverside, where I took my first bride, a black-eyed Shoshone, the daughter of Eagle Man, whatever that word, that's it. Of the daughter of Eagle Man. Anyway, so that's Bobby Bridger, in his beautiful songs, and we got to play, and I was in the play at one point, but always been he's been the greatest character, and he was born on the same day as Murphy, and they're both Pisces, born on March the 13th or whenever it was. And of course, it's a Gibson. Hopefully, it's okay. Yeah.
Oh, I always like to say, put a new ding in it. What was that Guy Clark thing? Somebody knocked his guitar over and was freaking out, and Guy was like, "It's just a tool."
Yeah, that's what Chuck Berry said.
I don't want to scratch it, but at the same time, it's okay.
I love the dings.
I love them too, man. Their character. It comes up. It happens for sure. That was incredible to hear about. I'd like to say, Bud, I think you got your tips worth there, brother. And a lot of people are chiming in there, really, really enjoying this. Since we have you don't mind staying on for a couple minutes more to get these last questions?
I'm good. What time is it?
Okay, if we just could do a couple more, then we'll make sure we kind of hit everybody. Here's one that I get a lot. But I like hearing different people's, even though this is a really, really common question for songwriters, I like it. And it comes from Brittany Hamilton. She's got two questions, but her first one's kind of a common question, but I love getting the take on it. And it's basically the music or the lyrics first question. And so many of us say, well, I get it however I get it. I get it however I get it. But I do know that a lot of people, I've found over doing the show and having that question asked a bunch of times that people do have sometimes things they kind of go to first. Myself being I've got notepads and I've got literal notepads and I've got voice memos and I've got things over here and I'll pick up different instruments and I'll take it from here or I'll co-write it. I don't care as long as I'm going to get the song.
Yeah.
I'll even sometimes like put a little drum beat on, and just like write to a Cajun drum beat, something that sounds like the Meters because it'll help me get a song out. Now with you, are you an anything goes kind of guy, or are you I really like to have the poetry first? Like Towns, what is it? If it looks good on the page, it's probably a good song, that kind of thing.
Well, I do a lot of those little things that you were saying as well, but I always work on a deadline. I mean, it's very difficult for me, even if it's a deadline. It's up to the last second, and so songs for me, I don't have that burning compulsion to sit down right then like you do, and I admire you so much to be able to do that, and I need to do more of that. But I've got some songs cooking, but I just can't. It's like there's more. I'm doing stuff like this, and I'm doing live streams, and
Well,
I'm
yeah,
making videos, and
you've got living to do.
and I'm
You've got all
writing.
the other things
Yeah.
that keep us musicians
Yeah.
as well. We have to force ourselves to kind of. People think, man, he just probably writes all day, and it's like, well, no, I got to do all this other stuff so people know I'm playing. You know?
Well, and Brittany, your question is like, if I think of original spirit, because it was more of a deal like. Let's see. She lives down south where the rivers age. Goes back to the original spirit. And I did it. Then that's when I said, and she wrote it all down on the roof of her cave. And I changed it up. But that kind of just all came out.
So it was a little bit of words. It was a little bit of music at the same time. And you said it came to you when you were driving.
Yeah.
I have a great
the thing
story.
Is,
go ahead.
Let me just say, yes, you're right. It came to me when I was driving, and then the next thing I do is play that on the guitar, when I get home at some point. But what was your story?
Well, just real quick, I got it from Kate Howard, who got it from a writer. And it's a great story. She's interviewing Tom Waits, and he said, "I'm driving in L.A. and it's gridlock, and I have this idea for a song." And he's like, "And I don't have any paper, and I don't have a phone, and I don't have a recorder. And finally, I just looked up at the ceiling and I went, 'Can't you see I'm driving?'" And that's what happens to us. So we kind of have to have something ready.
Yeah.
Like, man, it used to be the bar napkin. It used to be whatever. But I think, and Brittany also, she put this, first of all, she says, "Hi, Bob." But it says, when it comes to a new song, which on average comes first for you, the music or the lyrics? And then she says this really nice thing. You seem as much of a wordsmith as an instrumentalist. And I think that's key, too, as to whether or not somebody, does one or the other, or whether they come, if I find that a lot of people think, well, I'm more of a guitar guy, or, well, I'm more of a words person. But,
Well, yeah. I mean, it was, after all, Burt Bacharach and Hal David, and Elton John and Bernie Taupin, who, neither one of them ever ventured into the other's territory. For me, I guess I love words, and I love to be able to do it. And it's high praise coming from Brittany, because Brittany was when I first met her, she was like a feature writer on the Dallas Morning News, the entertainment section, and did a lot of features and cover stories and stuff. And now she teaches at SMU, freelance writer, really, and it helps me a lot in my live streams as well. And so. But I can't really, I don't know. I'm so, if I have a guitar, a lot of times it comes to the guitar at the same time. It's almost as if I start romancing that dance right there.
Yeah, because it's near, or it's like it's over there and it's out. Yeah. I think keeping it out is a good tool too. Is like, if it's
it is,
then I'm a lot more likely to pick it up and give something a try.
Oh yeah.
And then it's a lot more likely. Also, I gotta say, the writers, I don't care if it's like a Blackstock or if it's like somebody who writes other things other than music, I get so much from them being in my camp.
Oh yeah.
I learned so much that wouldn't happen from, some punk kid trying to learn, Hendrix songs where I started,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. I love having the writers. So, Brittany, thanks for being on. Her sub question is really great. I like she called it that too. Have you read anything good lately? Other fans of the live stream have surely tried to identify book spines on the bookshelf behind you. Maybe that's just me. I will jump in and say, I'm reading, I just finished reading The Bandit Queen of India, which is, do you know about this? About Phulon Devi?
Say
Are
it
you with?
again.
Do you know about Phulon Devi, the Bandit Queen of India?
No, I don't.
All right. She's
Phulon Devi, the Bandit Queen of India.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really amazing story. It's really, really incredible. And I've had the book for a
I
while
think
and
I.
I've waited to read it. She was the Bandit Queen. She started out in low caste and was, given away in marriage and blah 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 blah, and then a gang, and then she ended up in Parliament, and she was assassinated by a member of like a rival gang. It's one of the most incredible Robin Hood stories I have ever heard in my entire life, and I know they've made movies about her in India,
Yeah.
um, but
Wow.
she's not really well known in the States. It's one of the craziest books I've ever read. I just finished it, and I'm rereading a Haruki Murakami book, which is a Japanese writer I really love, called 1Q84. But she wants to know you. Have you read anything good lately?
Well, someone gave me a Barack Obama's book on for my birthday, and that's pretty good. He's a good writer,
Mm.
and I have a, I, d- you know, I go through the Cormac McCarthy books every once in a while. I haven't found anything new that really strikes me as much as some of those books.
Oh man, we
And
were just talking about Blood Meridian
yeah, oh my
last week.
God,
I know and it's always the same face, man. Everybody I know, because I mean, you've read all the Pretty Little Horses or your these other
the
books,
City of the Plains.
yeah, that inspire these things. But then Blood Meridian is the one. I remember talking to Ely about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I think there's like 7 pages in the middle that's just about what a horse is thinking." You know,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
but man, that's a heavy, heavy one.
That's
Big
a
fan
heavy
of
book.
Cormac McCarthy. Big fan. Huge fan. Okay, so we got some books there. Kate Howard says, in the before times, what brought you more joy? Setting out on the road or returning to Austin?
In the before times,
Yeah, like before the pandemic. I think she means do you get more joy setting out on the road or do you get more joy returning home? You and me both when we had that 2 week, 3 week and we start smelling the barn. I think that's what ends up happening is you start enjoying the road and you can't wait to get out, but you also really love, once you get out there, smelling the barn means, the horse gets close to the barn so
exactly.
they start moving faster. It's like you're playing the
Yeah.
last set a little bit faster and stuff. Did you like going out or did you like coming home more? Or is there both?
Just what you said. I liked it better. I'm glad to be coming back. A lot of times. Uh, but I'll tell you, the road to me was safe, and even on all those countries, it was just always such an adventure. It was all part of it. I
Yeah.
knew how to travel.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy traveling.
Mm-mm.
And the hardest one I did was the last show I've done for the State Department was, I think, 2016.
Mm.
And so the new administration was just in, and we're going to play Pakistan with possibilities of Nepal and India, and all these people are signing on, right? All the posts. That's what
Yeah.
happens. They go, yeah, we can do something here. So because they got the money and they've got to do it, and I do that job. I'm interactive. I talk to the audience. I get them singing along and teach them how to yodel
Mm.
and all that stuff. That's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
we we go to do this show, and first off, Bradley, who was going with us, got sick, couldn't do it. So we don't have a guitar player. And Richard Bowden has taken I'll just say that Richard says, I can't play that. They are at war. I don't go to a country that is at war.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like this pure kind of, that's just the way I do it. Richard wants to go back to barter. Richard said, give me food, I'll play for you, that kind of thing. So
that's Richard, right?
That's Richard. And so neither one of them could go. And I ended up getting Cam King on guitar. Mm-hmm. And this girl that was at Berkeley School of Music in Nashville doing sessions and stuff, Maria. We do a kind of a quick rehearsal and go on this trip. And all the while that this is happening, we are, it's just an amazingly long way away. And we're in total lockdown when we get there. You don't leave the hotel. You'll have armed guards with you and everything. And all of a sudden it wasn't fun anymore. It was really,
tense.
It was just sort of, just not really, because we were in this fortress, but then they blow the fortresses up,
yeah.
And it was Pakistan. It was Karachi.
They're like checking under every car with a mirror when you pull in, because they're looking for you. You don't go to a hotel where they don't check you're not pulling in unless you see these kind of things. It's that kind of thing. But the gigs started falling through when we were over there. And it's like I had all this time. Yeah. And so we could never get it. It went silent. We couldn't even get an answer. Like the guys that talking about it in India, who's so enthusiastic suddenly. And I'm going, the only thing I'm thinking of is, I think they're saving their money. They don't know what's going to happen because they have this budget. And all of a sudden, these incendiary things are being said about the State Department. Right. And, we don't need to do this and we don't need to do that, and it's proven that these programs do work, especially the cultural programs. Because I remember going when I first went, this was before internet, before TV channels, and these big cities, the State Department would have these American centers with libraries, American Center Library, and they had televisions in there, and they had like 6 monitors, and people would sign up for them and watch the ABC News with Peter Jennings. Remember when that was there? And they would do a distilled version, and you would watch the week's news in this hour or whatever, straight through. And there was so many, and that's the kind of services they would say. This is what's happening in America. We're not sugarcoating it. We're not, but it was ABC and on Voice of America and all that stuff, the State Department. So we got to do a lot of those things and be on the Voice of Pakistan, but it was hard traveling. Man. Whew. Kate also asked, please expound on your experience of the intersection between Americana and rap.
Oh, God. Americana and rap.
Is that a real thing? Is that something that
I know they do that. I know
about?
Is there Shake Russell's doing.
Okay, maybe she's not. Maybe she's thinking of somebody else there. I'll check with Kate later because I didn't know that there was any.
What I do.
I've heard.
I do. I don't do Americana and rap. I do Middle English and rap.
Oh, really? Talk to me.
One that the prilly with the sure asserted the truth of March has pierced it to the earth and battered every vein in switchly coup, of which virtue engendered disfluence, that reflected with the quick the breath, spirit hath in every holt and heft, the tender croppers and the youngest son, half of the rami cause the run, and smile and follow, sparkle melody that sleepeth up beneath with open ears, so appear and hear caresses and
what is going on?
On pilgrimages and Palmas for the sake is Straudes and Sondre Kuth and Sonde Londes. Yo.
This is Old English? What is
Middle
this?
English.
Middle English. Thank you. I'm completely lost right now, which is fantastic. So Middle
When that the
English rap.
prilly with the when that the prilly with the shura sota, when the April showers come, right?
Uh-huh.
The druta March has pierced it to the drought in March has pierced the
The
root.
Drut.
He's
Yeah.
setting it up, you know,
Yeah.
and it's Chaucer. I had to learn it.
Okay. Okay.
Miss Honey taught it to me. See, the story that I tell is that Miss Honey was my English teacher, and she taught that you had to learn the prologue to the Canterbury Tales,
Yeah.
and then I found out. So I didn't know what to think of her. I just God, this is. But then I found out that she taught Buddy Holly senior English. So I figured he had to learn the Canterbury Tales too, and I had this affinity with Buddy Holly. Even found out where he sat,
Lubbock
sat in
connection
his
and everything.
desk and
Yeah.
everything. So.
Yeah. Well, plus the Lubbock connection and all that kind of stuff. So Kate Howard just says, sorry, in 2006, one of his songs was sampled by a rapper. Oh, that's the G Unit thing, right? Was that the G Unit thing? Yeah, but Ray was like, because Ray got it.
I can tell the story.
I know the story already. I already know a little bit of it, but I want everybody else to hear a little bit of it. Because
okay, so Ray and I write a song called Ray and I write a song called "Hold On for Your Life." Sometime you're crazy and your head is hurting. You wake up in the morning and there's nobody there. You've been searching for the peace in the valley. You know you're falling, but you don't know where. You got to hold on for your life. Hold on for your life. Hold on for your life. 'Cause life is all you got to hold on. So we had this song like that. The Gonzo Band tried to record it. We lost our record deal. This is 1976, 77. We write that song. So the song gets lost in the shuffle. But a couple years, 2 or 3 years later, Michael Brofsky, who was the preacher, who was the manager for Jerry Jeff and the producer, Christopher Cross, did a lot of things, had a production company in Austin. And so we're in New York playing, and we're playing Carnegie Hall, Jeff. And we're playing with Doug Somm and Jerry Jeff. And they said, we're not going to have country music here for a while.
Yeah. After that?
If ever again. The guy came out and went, this is outrageous. Everyone sit down. You don't stand in the seats. Get those beer bottles out of here.
Standing, right?
Oh, my God. In the chairs with beer, throwing them on stage. But anyway, I digress. And
how'd
so
the song
we're
get over to G Unit? Yeah.
So Brofsky says, this band that I'm producing called McKendree Spring is recording an album, and they're looking for songs. And do you have anything? I had Hold On for Your Life, and it was like there's a lot of ways to do it, but they recorded it, and it got on the record. And so the near as I can tell, what happened? Well, I get a call one day. Are you Bob Livingston? Yes. Did you write a song with Ray Hubbard called Hold On? Yes. Do you, and you have the publishing company that, yes. And, and so what had happened was, this is as near as I can tell, this rapper, his name is Lloyd Banks.
Yep.
He's walking down this dirty, dusty dirt road in New York City, looking for something to do with his brother. And they duck into a discount record place, and he's going through the records, and he likes the covers, and he picks up this one called Going to the Country by McKendree Spring. Said, cool cover, let's take it home. So they buy it for 25 cents, and they take it home, and they put it on. And side one is Hold On. And they play it, and they went, that's a cool beat, man. That's a cool beat. Let's sample it. So they find out, and they're finding out somehow, where in the hell did this song come from? Because this guy. And so they called me.
Yeah.
And so Hubbard and I got to tell the whole story, because they write a complete different, it's dicey, it's un-PC. So they record the song. And I'm in a session in Dallas. Hubbard gets it, and Hubbard gets. They send us the demo. They send it to us, and Eminem is producing it for
Right.
Interscope Records.
Right.
It's like, this is going to be big. Get your shit together. and so and they write all new lyrics. And so Hubbard calls me now, Bob, did you get the demo? Yeah, I did. He goes, I think there's something you and I need to talk about. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, we need to get straight who wrote which line. And I said, what are you talking about, Ray? He said, you and I need to get straight. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going to go on now? And he goes,
Yeah.
are you the one that wrote, get out of my face? I'm going to kick your ass, because I'm pretty sure I'm the one that wrote, I'm going to ride you like a dog, you bitch.
Neither of which, of course, are in Hold On.
These were the words. These
new
were the lyrics. And the guy was this gangsta, Lloyd Banks. It sold 1 million copies the first quarter.
Yeah.
I told Butch Hancock that story, and he said, gee, my next album's going to be called Sample Me.
I know. Yeah. Well, Ray jokes at his show about how they bought his gate for the ranch up in.
Yeah.
He's like, I got a gate. He's like, I got a gate out of it. So I love that gate too. It's a good gate.
Yeah.
The push button gate at Ray and Judy's. Yeah, man, that's so funny. Kate, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about the whole G Unit story, because I was still playing with Ray and still down in Wimberley a lot at that time, and I remember when that all happened.
And
I didn't know you then.
And I call Michael Corcoran up, who's the entertainment writer of the Statesman. I say, Corcoran, I think I got a story for him. I tell him the story. He goes, that's a great story. So he has Ray and I meet him at this hip hop record store down in East Austin, and the place, and they had this giant cutout of Lloyd Banks, and all this Lloyd Banks money. It had all this money, and they gave us the Lloyd Banks money, and the name of the album is War.
Yeah.
Or no, Warrior.
Oh yeah.
And they changed the name to Warrior, and so Ray and I posed, with the Lloyd Banks cutout, and they put it on the cover of the American Statesman, and his byline was, "Cosmic Cowboys hop on hip hop gravy train." And Lance Armstrong had just won the Tour de France, and he was below us.
That was the second story, right? Hey, listen, we're going to do one more question, because Larry King is a fan of the show, and he's here a lot, and I really want to get this one. He just says, this will be the last question I ask today. 2 of my all-time favorite albums are Live at Green Hall and Cowboy Boots and Bathing Suits. Does Bob have any special memories making those 2 albums? Anything regarding either one of those?
Well, my most special memory about Live at Green Hall is I wasn't on it. But that was done with Champ Hood and Roland Denny on bass. It was his put-together band. I was on one of my Indian trips. Jerry Jeff said, forget that. I'm going to do a new thing. And he put together a different band. And
so it was a different kind of thing altogether.
Different thing, which was, and it was a great record. But then on Cowboy Boots and Bathing Suits, I was back, and that was done in Belize. It was a strange title. I don't know, Cowboy Boots and Bathing Suits. The cover is horrible. I look like an alien from another planet, and of course they use the worst picture they can find of me, and I was always embarrassed. But it was, we recorded in Belize. Jerry Jeff, Charles Ray, I don't know if you never knew him. Charles Ray,
of course. Yeah.
And he took these ADAT machines down to Belize there, and we flew over and set them up in Jerry Jeff's house there at Ambergris Key, and he got a 50-foot or 150-foot boat dock out there, and we were set up there, and we would record during the day, and then we recorded a show. That's what he'd like to do is get both. We're still almost in a live situation in his house, but we're there. The waves are crashing. You can hear it all. There's no sound baffling. Jerry Jeff always loved to record really on on the scene with not too much fuss
Yeah.
made. And it
Yeah.
really worked well for him too. You don't have to if the album is magic, this makes it magic, helps with the magic
I agree.
wherever you are,
It's more vibe, man. A squeaky
Vibe.
chair, a dog
Yeah.
barking in the back, who knows what is a little bit more important than,
Yeah,
Although
look
I
at
do have people. Go ahead.
I would just say look at Northeast Texas woman, the dog's barking, he's going
Right?
oblio, oblio. They
Yep,
keep
yep,
it.
yep. Yeah, people don't know that his dog was Oblio. That's right. I forgot about that. I heard lots of stories about that. Maybe I'll get Willis on here one of these days.
Mm.
For better. Bob, this has been absolutely incredible. A bunch of people are saying, "Oh wow, this is the best 20 questions ever." So I certainly had a great time. Before we get off, because we're not on TV, we can do massive plugging. I want to do a couple of plugs. First of all, this is how you find Bob, BobLivingstonMusic.com, or his Facebook page. He has 2 Facebook pages, Facebook.com Bob Livingston and the Bob Livingston Music as well. We put that link in for that video, but I'm going to put that link in for the video one more time because I want people to go see the video for Original Spirit. I'm going to put it here so it's in all of the things. Boom.
Yeah.
There's the link for the video to that beautiful song that we heard at the beginning. Thanks, everybody, one last time for the tips. I always split the tips with my guest, and it's nice to be able to give Bob, I don't know, a tank of gas or whatever. We certainly appreciate it.
Let me just say something about that. I don't really like to talk about tip jars. It's kind of, especially last
It's weird,
night,
isn't it?
I played this house concert, and it was socially distanced. The guy took his wife's this vase. I think it was a Ming Dynasty vase or something, a cobalt blue. It was just beautiful, and he had ruined it and written, spray painted in flaming white letters, the word tips on it, and put it up. And you would think that it was self-evident what it's for, right? Well, tell that to the dyslexic that walked in and spit in it. Tell that to him. Cheap joke to say that we're not really that interested in tips, but we would talk about
But
them.
but it's a thing. We're keeping it going with the music
Yeah.
right now, and
Yeah, we are.
I'll be back next week with Henry Invisible, who's this incredible musician who's working with Bootsy Collins. He's a young guy, and he does these live streams where he plays bass and he plays guitar and he does all his funk music. So we're going to take a huge left turn with Henry next week. And, of course, we have the great fingerstyle guitar player and educator David Hamburger after that. Erin Ivey, who's got a really great record. She's going to be coming up. And, Bob, I can't thank you enough, man. I had a real blast with you. Stay on the live stream with me while I say goodbye to everybody online.
Can I also say goodbye? And I haven't
Please.
seen the chat, but I see Larry King out there and Don Jason have nice things to say. Laurie Mitchell Dunn, old friend of ours from Taos. She has a beautiful place in Taos. Always get to stay. JoJo Lennon, Maria
Joanna
Moth,
there.
Maria and John. They're great duo. I love Maria. They're just great people. Kate Howard, thank you so much. JoJo Lemon again. I don't know how you see the next time we do it. I hope there's a next time. Let's do part 2 sometime.
Oh man, we'll do part 2 for sure. We'll book that. We'll book that right as soon as we get off. You stay on with me, and thanks to everybody again. Austin Music TV, AustinCityJams.com. Thank you, Kirby Walker, as always. And I'll be on later
Kirby
tonight
Walker.
doing my songs. I'll be
Thank
doing
you,
my
Kirby.
songs later tonight. But when is your also? You said Thursday night for you.
Thursday, 7 p.m., but I go on 6:45,
Central?
kind of like you do, 6:45
Yeah.
Central, and we do a pre-show sound check thing. I show some videos. I'm doing videos for all my themes. I'm not exactly
Love
sure
it.
about the theme, but we have a lot of fun. So tune in there. It's Bob Livingston,
All right.
Facebook.com/Bob Livingston.
Perfect. Bob, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody online. I'm going to go ahead and say, see you later. This went almost 2 hours. Freaking fantastic.
Bye-bye.
So great. Bye, everybody.